Hey everybody, it's me, Mama D, and it is time for another conversation with friends. And tonight, my guest is Adriana. Oh my God, I'm gonna kill your last name. Gavazzoni. So we've got a little video for Adriana, and then we'll come back and have a nice little chit chat. Yeah, if I can find it. My guest this evening is Adriana Gavazzoni. She is a Brazilian writer, a former professor of law, and has been a practicing lawyer for 30 years. Her first series of self-published novels, Hidden Motives, Behind the Door, Laura's Journal, and The Brilliant Game, won several writing contests, such as BRAG Medallion, Book Excellence Awards, E-Light Awards, Golden Book Award, Reader's Favorite Book, Paris Book Festival, Eric Hoffer Book Award, American Fiction Award, Indie Excellence Awards, Independent Author Network, and the Kindle Book Award. Adriana loves to travel, to cook, and to dance. She is also a very devoted mom to two adorable puppies, Juno and Charlotte. Her latest book, Sketches of Life, is set in the middle of World War II. So sit back, relax, and let's get to know Adriana. Ta-da! See, I went searching on your site for your puppies. Hopefully I got the right names in the right order.
Yes, perfect. Juno is the black one, and the blonde one is Charlotte.
So cute, so cute. So first off, thank you very much for coming on the show. Um, you're okay. We're gonna start off. This is not your the book we're talking about this evening is Sketches of Life, but this is not your first book. You've done a trilogy, a little bit different to this one. Let's see. I do have pictures of them. I can keep myself in them. The first set of books that you wrote is it's Behind the Door, The Brilliant Game, and Laura's Journal. Again, let's try this again. You are a lawyer. Also, you are a law professor, and you've written law books. So, where did you get the idea to write the stories that you to complete 180 to being a law book?
No, but hello, Angel and Mamadi. First of all, thank you very much for having me. And the trilogy is also about a lawyer. There is a lawyer in the trilogy. Uh, he's defending a client who killed his girlfriend during a sex game. So
Okay.
there is something about law on that book. But
Okay.
these ideas, um, I have to explain you a condition I have. I have attention deficit with hyperactivity. So my mind is full of ideas
Always busy.
all of the time. I can't stop thinking, having ideas, creating. And one day I decided to write a novel. And when I started to write, I just knew I wanted to write a romance. But while I was writing, I thought, okay, I'm going to write a romance. But what I like in a book, I like mystery, I like suspense. A touch of erotica would do good for the book.
Oh yeah.
And I start to add ingredients as I was writing. I never planned the whole story. I just planned
Okay.
the beginning. And then the story told itself for me. Nothing to do with law, uh, but really, I can't explain. It's very hard to explain how the creative process goes inside my mind. But the story told itself to me,
That I can understand.
and I just wrote. It's just like that.
Did your because your law practice that you work in is corporate law, right?
Right.
Okay. Did your clients know about your passion for writing? And if so, what did
Uh,
they think?
Now they know. The first
Mhm.
idea I had when I wrote the book in English and I decided to publish abroad was to hide from my clients. I've been an attorney now for 30 years. I was
Yeah,
very afraid they would discover I was publishing a psychological and erotic book. So I decided to hide. You can hide nowadays. Okay, 2 days the book was published. My whole media, social media knew about it.
yeah.
So, yes, they know. And I thought they would change, they would criticize me, but no, they just congratulate me and they are very happy for my novels. So it was good.
Well, that's good. It's nice that the two sides kind of sort of get together, and
I try to separate a little bit. I
yeah,
don't talk
but
about books and writing while practicing law,
you know,
uh, but in one moment or other, they collide. It's
yeah,
impossible. It's impossible to split the two things.
exactly. Have you ever had a client come in and say, "Can you sign my books?"
Well, some clients ask very weird questions sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, because in Brazil we call attorneys doctors. Hey, doctor, where those ideas came from? I said, well, which ideas are you asking about? The sex
Hmm.
ideas or the killing ideas? Because they come from the same place.
Yes,
They are just a product of fiction and they come from my mind.
it's true. A lot of people think that because you're writing about it, you're living it, and it doesn't work that way. Because I know that the first trilogies had a lot of murder in there, and I don't think you would be a murderer and a lawyer. The sex part, maybe that's a whole other story. But the murdering part, I don't think so. Even though it's a lot of frustration, a lot of people are going, "Give me some
Yes,
ideas."
that's what is very weird. Always people always ask me about the sex parts, but they never think, "Oh, you could be a killer." They always ask, "Have you ever been to a swing house?" And I say, "Okay, but I didn't kill anybody, and you are not asking about that. Why? You are not worried that could be a killer? No, you don't look like." So I don't look like someone who goes to a swimming house. Oh, so I just
No,
write about it.
there you go. There you go. And I'd be like, exactly what does a person who goes to swingers house look like? How would you know? So it kind of sort of makes you question what they had in mind. In your books, now this one, the sketches of life, it's based in World War II. Now that you're like way too young to remember that. Okay, so what made you go to that time era?
On my second book, in my first trilogy, Lara's Journal, I talk about my main character's grandmother. And she's based on my grandmother. I love it a lot. My grandmother, she was a special lady. She was a teacher for 40 years. In a time she had to go horseback to teach. She was a very modern woman for her time.
From time.
And I based some of my grandmother's personality in in this character, and people love it. So Emma, who is Lara's grandmother on the second book,
Hmm.
was very loved by people and by me. And I thought when I wrote about her, and she was old on that book, I thought I'm going to tell her story. But when I did the math, I had to go back to World War II. And it was very complicated
Yeah.
because I had to do tons of research in order to
Yes.
be faithful to my readers. And she is born between the two great wars. So I had to talk a
Hmm.
little bit about the end of the First War, and I had to talk a lot about Second World War. And it was not my idea for a historical book. I just needed the historical background.
Yeah.
But I hate to betray readers and tell things that are not true. So I really did a very exhaustive research to compose that character.
Yeah.
But she's in some way to praise my grandma.
Okay, in the chat room, Diane says, I have found most lawyers have a criminal mind and other reality. You have to, I guess, because with yours is corporate law, but I'm guessing that when you study law, you study all the venues of law, criminal, family law, and all that. So it kind of gave you a little bit of an idea of what you could come up with for the first trilogies.
Yes, when we go to law school, you have to study everything.
Yeah.
Only after you graduate, you are going to choose what we are going to work, and then you are going to have a master and you study more to
Mm-hmm.
specialize. But of course, I had a background of criminal law, and I was very lucky. My former brother-in-law, he's American, and he introduced me to a former special agent, FBI special agent. He's retired, and he helped me a lot with my research to compose the criminal part because criminal procedure in the United States is very different from Brazilian.
Okay.
And yes, it's completely different. It's completely different. So I needed someone who really understand the system to help me. And he really helped me a lot. He endorsed my second novel. And also I have a friend who is a lawyer in the United States, and he helped me a lot with procedures. So all the time when you write, Mama, it's all about research. It's
Yeah.
creativity, but you need help. You can't think, oh, I'm going to write a book and I'm not going to research. It's only my ideas. You are going to have
Doesn't
science
work that way.
fiction if you want that.
Oh, yeah.
You need to have a trustful background. So I
Mm-hmm.
have, because those friends really helped me. I was an annoying black fly for them because I was always sending emails, talking to them, chatting and asking, hey, this is plausible. Can I write that? No, you can't. You are crazy. It's not like that. And of course, I have this very faithful background because I have wonderful friends who helped me.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's great to have friends that help you. Which, okay, we have a little comment in the chat room from Jojo. She says, "I love the Brazilian accent. My first partner was from São Paulo."
I would like to get rid of it, but it seems impossible.
No, 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 no. Every It's funny because everybody who has an accent to we'll say to my ears, they'd be like, "I don't have an accent," but it's like, no, people need to stop wanting to change their accents. I would love to have a gorgeous accent like yours, but I have my little Canadian, English Canadian, and I know that even every country, there's more than just one accent. So
Yes,
it's like,
I'm from South Brazil. It's completely different from North Brazil. It's totally different accent inside the same country. And I'm very Italian. I talk a lot with my hands.
well, I'm not, and sometimes I do.
Uh,
I
this
think it just
background,
makes
this
it.
Italian background, just make me talk with my hands. It's impossible to get rid of it. Also,
That's okay. It's really good. It comes in handy when you want to smack somebody and going, "I'm not going to smack you, I swear." And I'll, oops, that was my hand talking. Okay. In your books, have you ever used one of the people that you know as a character in your book, and not saying the whole part of the person, but like a small part of it, and then that person goes, "Did you? Is that?" Because you would be kind of. I would assume that you would tell people, "I'm going to use you kind of as a character in my book," and then they read the book afterwards and go, "Wait a minute, which one is me?"
yes, I do. uh, people are a great source of inspiration for me. I'm a very good
Mhm.
listener. As a lawyer, you must be a good
Yeah.
listener. And I listen to people, and sometimes they are talking, and I think, oh, that phrase I'm going to put in the mouth of one of my characters. So sometimes
Oh,
it's
nice.
just a phrase someone told me in a moment. Sometimes I like or hate so much the personality of someone I put in the
Mm-hmm.
character. My main
Nice.
character in my first trilogy was based in a real story I had to defend in Brazil. And when I used to practice family law, long time ago, it was the story that makes me quit family law and decide just to stay in corporate law because
Okay.
it's a too passionate subject. I was suffering a lot, and uh, one of my clients had a wife who inspired me to write my main character. So, yes, for sure, people inspire me. Sometimes people can see themselves in the books. My father also say, "Hey, that comes from me," and things like that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
and there is. I'm writing the sequel for Sketches of Life, and I told for one of my friends, "Hey, one of my characters is inspired by you," and he said, "Please make me a stud. Don't make me a soft." I told, "Okay, we're going to reconnect.
Okay.
No worries."
Boys.
And, and, some, and I asked for permission. Of course, I'm not going
Yeah.
to say who the person is, but I'm very inspired by person. It's complicated not to be. People are inspired, and I'm a godmother of a shelter for abused children in a neighbor
Okay.
country of Brazil called Paraguay. And those children also inspired me a lot. Their stories inspired me a lot to write, especially my second novel.
Okay.
People we are going to meet in my novel, if not the whole story, because I make up the story, I put things that are more likable even for me, but they have a real base sometimes. Some
Yeah.
aspects, not the whole story, of course, but
Mhm.
people inspire me.
Well, I think everybody who writes, I'm not a writer, even though people say I should write a book. It's like, no, no, no. But I believe every story that's written has a small grain of truth somewhere in it. It might be outer space, but there's stuff, there's a bit of truth about somebody or something in every book that everybody writes. No matter how much you want to try and get away from, you don't want to base a book on your dad. We'll just use your dad as an example, but he creeps into it because of things he says, because the energies that he's passed on to you, the just being there, being that force in your life, things about him will creep into your book, or about the friends that you have. It's kind of, for me, it's kind of like, it's a natural thing that when you write a book, I would assume that something is there's a base, a foundation of truth in there somewhere.
Yes, there is always a foundation of truth, and I think we authors will lay some of our characters on some
Mm-hmm.
characters. Uh, People who know me very well, they say, "Hey, the lawyer, he has something about you." I said, "Ah, okay, you know me," because they compared me to the lawyer finally, and not to the girls.
There you go.
So the lawyer is a professor. He teaches, and he's a lawyer, and he has. I believe he has some of my traces. And but you leave you leave traces on all characters. The way you think sometimes shows in
Mhm.
one character's opinion, and it's impossible not to leave a mark.
No,
Uh,
it's not.
we write with the heart, so it's completely impossible to separate real life from fiction all the time.
Okay, very true. Now, in this Sketches of Life book, I should put the picture up just for people to see, because first off, you can get these books at Amazon. People, this is, I haven't finished reading it because it's a big one, But it is a good book. There we go. Let me go. That's a little advert for it. Sketches of Life. Gorgeous book, and I love the artwork. The
Yeah,
woman, I think it's
the artist really translated my mind.
Kelly
Uh,
Martin. She's and the thing is, there's a little bit of you in her.
yeah, people told me that. Maybe when I was younger, at 51, I think everything, it's very
Oh, trust me,
dramatic.
51 is nothing. But I think I my way of thinking, because I had a friend who I met on another show. She wrote fantasy books about dragons and the like, and the person who drew her covers, who did the artwork for her covers, read the books, and there was like they just kind of worked together. The connection between the story and the artist, it works so well. So do you find that you have that your artist for your book cover made that connection with you and the story?
Since the first book, it's the same artist for all my four books.
Okay.
And I just say to her, uh, I am thinking about something like that. And she says, okay. And five sketches later, we have the cover. Uh, it's something amazing because we have a connection. She knows what I
Yeah.
want. She knows I'm a very discreet person. I don't want my first novels. They have erotica, but I didn't want the books to show erotica on the cover. I don't
Yeah.
like. I like the mystery. I always like the mystery, and she understood perfectly.
Yeah.
Uh, Kelly, and she's fantastic. She's a great artist. She can translate my imagination. We have this connection.
The in the books, in this one that I'm reading and the other three that I've kind of got a little bit of an idea from, you do amazing things with. It's not straight out like, here, this is like you said, the erotica. It's not straight in people's face. It weaves into the story very nicely, you know. And it's not it has to be said because it's part of who the characters are, part of who the story is. But you don't like throw it in people's faces, which is really good, because there are some books I've read that are just like a little bit too out there, a little bit too much. But yours so far,
Yeah,
it was
I
just
think that's because I face erotic as part of life.
yes,
It's part of life. People love sex or people hate it, depends on their
hmm
experiences, but it must be in a very natural way. I do.
yes,
I like to describe things. So when one of my characters go get a room, I want to say what is happening. But as a part of the story, I don't like books that just throw erotica and it's all about stupid scenes that you don't understand why it's happening.
hmm
So I like the natural way as a natural part of life. Sex is a natural part of life. We have
yes,
to face it.
exactly. Murder, not so much, but sex. It's in a lot of people's minds, like how many times you said, I'll put your name on the list, but yeah, sex is a natural part of life. I mean, if it's without it, we're not here. And we don't procreate we can't bring the future to pass if you don't have it. So, yeah, natural part of life. Now, you said your father has read your books and he's commented that he said those things, certain things in the books. Did your mother read your books, and what did they think about it?
No, my mom didn't read the books, and I don't believe she's going to read. But my father did, and I was very, very worried because I just have the two first books translated into Portuguese. So
Okay,
he just read the two first
the
books,
first two.
and I was very concerned about his opinion.
Yeah.
There is erotica, there is killing, there is a
Yes.
psycho there. And he read and he said to me, I knew you had a lot of imagination, but I never could calculate the amount of imagination you had. And also, he corrected the Portuguese for me because
Oh,
he was a former professor of Portuguese. So he said,
okay.
hey, you missed some commas, and here this word is not okay. So
Oh, nice.
I should know about the novels. But he loved it. He said, he's always comparing me to great authors. And he said, yours is better, my daughter. And I say, okay, you're my father.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your support.
Exactly. There's the side that your father, my dad, who will support me everything I do, and then there's the professor side where you're going to go. Here's the third one. Translate it into Portuguese and don't tell me what to think about. Because our parents see us as one way. You know, your father will still see you as his little girl, and then you know that he's going to read these books that have murder and erotica and are just sort of like way far away from his little baby girl, and he's like, Dad, you still love me.
No, and he tells everybody, my daughter is a writer. She has many books. Her books are amazing. She won several awards. She's great. He doesn't care about the erotica.
Tango.
He just thinks I'm his perfect daughter, and he was always this great father. I thank God I have, and he just supports me.
And that's good. That's Do you have any other members of your family that do writing, or are you the only one that does the books?
Oh, they do writing, but they don't read my
Not the
novels.
same kind of. I don't
Yeah,
see why not.
I don't think they want to know me that well, and to know what
It's
is
like
inside my
deep
mind,
into your mind. That's
or they are
scary.
going to fear me. My
Yes,
sister
no.
is reading, but she's a very slow reader, so she couldn't finish the first one. And my brother, oh, I'm not being through. My brother read the first one, and he said he loved it, and but period, nothing else than
Nothing
that.
else. He was just good. It's a good book, sis. That's it. Yeah,
They didn't
because
discuss it.
yeah, no, because they don't want to see their sister as the person who wrote this book. It's a great book. My sister wrote it, but they don't want to put the two together because then it's like,
Yeah,
they get a little nervous about saying that because, like you said, it's most people are asking you about the sex parts, and even your brothers
yeah.
and sisters and your father, and that's, but they try and step away from it. They might ask you about the murder parts. Don't ask you about the sex parts.
They just forgive me for being a murderer in my mind.
There you go.
They can forget, however, about the
Yeah,
sex parts. She wrote sex. Oh my
she wrote
God.
that sex. Oh my
Did you
God, this she is. Yeah,
smell?
exactly. And then in the murdering parts, they'd be like, I'm not going to make her angry at me because she's too good at writing it in a book. She might be able to do.
I used to say, don't make me angry. I'm going to kill you in one of my novels.
Oh, I
Wait,
like
what do
that.
you
I
say?
like that. That's like, and if they get mad at you, do you remember that character in the novel that died, the horrible death? Like, okay, no, I
See?
understand. Oh, sorry, just got a weird connection. Um, okay, so you write law books. You've written your trilogy, your sketches of life, and you said you're in the process of doing a second novel to the sketches of life.
Yes, it doesn't have a title yet
Hmm.
because I have this author's blockage when it comes to titles. I have the whole book written and I can't think about a title. I have to wait for the muses to sing the title for me. It's complicated because I need a title to ask to my artist to make the cover. And it
Yeah.
takes me some time to have the title. It's always like that. It's a nightmare for a title. But it's the second for Sketches of Life. And I'm also writing another one talking about a girl from Brazil. Brazil is going to be the background this time.
Okay.
And I'm writing them in parallel. I don't know which one is going to come first.
Whichever one gets the title first.
Yeah, it's going to be. I think it's going to be like that. The title comes first, and then it's going to be released.
Yeah.
But I don't have much time. as I'm a practicing lawyer. I work 8 hours to 10 hours a day being a lawyer, so I don't have much time to write. I just
Yeah.
need to organize my schedule very well in order to write.
Do you sort of like get up in the morning, get dressed, go to work, and say, okay, I book a time for like an hour every day from this time to this time that this is where you want to write? Is that one of the things that
I'm very used to schedules. I'm a lawyer. Lawyers
you really
need
about
schedules to
schedules? Yeah.
survive. Yeah, it's all about the schedule. So every day I wake up very early in the morning, and I have a nice breakfast, and then I sit, and for 1 hour I'm going to write. I edit things that I've wrote the day before. I write new things. I throw everything I wrote the day before on the virtual trash can. But
Mm.
every day I write in the morning. I love to write during the
Mhm.
mornings. My mind is fresh, the ideas come, but I can't write more than an hour. I just need to finish in 1 hour and start to be a lawyer. So
Yeah.
during the day, if it's a better day and my schedule is not that tight, I can write again or during the night. But usually at night, I'm very tired because the whole day I've been talking to judges, talking to clients, writing, making defenses, talking to my lawyers. And at night, I just need to relax, read a
Yeah.
good book, watch some series, some movies. I'm addicted to movies, play with my dogs, and my husband needs attention too, and attention
Yes, they do.
too. And do you know how men are? They need you
Yes, they
close.
do.
And
I got
so
one.
I write more during the mornings. During
Yeah.
weekends, I can
Yeah,
write.
no. That's you do have to give yourself time off. No matter what we do in life, we do have sort of we do have to make a routine, a schedule, and but there are days, especially on the weekend, like I mean, right now I'm stuck at home with this lovely stay keep my butt at home schedule. Um, I do my Monday to Friday as best as I can, trying to keep a schedule. But on Saturdays and Sundays, especially Saturdays, it's like my husband going grocery shopping. Not this week. I just want to take the day off. He says, "What have you done?" I'm just taking the day off. Leave me alone. And Sundays nobody bothers me because it's the show day, so I'm busy putting the last minute things together. But I understand that you got to give yourself a schedule, but you also have to give yourself time off because if you don't take that time off, your brain won't relax enough to continue writing onto the next novel.
Yes, and I had to promise my husband I wouldn't work during the weekends. It was the best promise I ever did in my whole life because it allowed me a time to rest my mind, and when you
Hmm.
are rested, best ideas come. So
Yes.
today, for example, I woke up, we had a nice breakfast, we have a beautiful lake on our backyard. We saw
Mm.
the lake, and then I spent 2 hours painting, and then
Nice.
I wrote something, then I had lunch and I slept. That's how weekends must be. No commitment,
Yes.
no work. We need that. We need that. We really
Yeah.
need that.
Exactly. Do you ever get to the point where you're in the middle of your day or whatever, idea pops up, and then you just kind of like take your phone and go, uh, dictate to the recording, and then just put away for like for work time.
Yes, I do. I have many insights like that. And I use two phones. I use a personal phone and a phone for my work. So I send messages from me to myself.
There you go.
And I say, hey, Adriana, remember that to put in your book. Oh, that's a good phrase. Take note. You are going to use someday. So I have a file of great phrases I'm going to use someday. Maybe I never use them, but sometimes I use. And it's good to do that, even for work, not just for writing, but ideas for my job. I do that. I send myself
Mhm.
messages. It's a little bit schizophrenic, but it works.
No, it's not. Trust me, I understand. I've got two phones and two laptops, and I'll be writing stuff on one thing, and I have to send it so that I can save it because I get rid of stuff. And it's like, okay, if people look at me and know what I do, they're gonna think I'm nuts. But hey, I am, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird, but it works so well. I don't think about changing.
Do you have any thoughts of writing any other kind of books? Does anything else attract your attention?
Sorry, I think I
Does
lost.
other kinds of books, like you're doing mysteries and thrillers? Is there anything else that you, and you've done law books as well, have you ever thought of doing any other books?
Yes, my nieces, they are too young to read my novels. They are always
Uh,
asking me, "Oh, why don't you write something we can read, please?" And I think, "Oh, I'm going to write something for teenagers." But I think I've never been a teenager, so it's hard to try to write about something you've never been. I was always being an adult since I was a kid. I was a very mature kid. I was always reading. My mother was always upset about that because I didn't went out very much, and I have few friends. I'm a close person, and it's hard for me to write about things that I've never lived. So
mhm.
mystery. I love to write about mystery. It's complicated for me not to write that genre because I love it. I
Yeah,
just love suspense. I just love to be like this when I read
do
something.
it for, you could do it for teenagers, just take out the sex. Just take out the erotic.
Yes, yes, I have to take the sex, and I don't have to murder anybody. I think it's going to be too
Well, you
much.
could, but you can make them do the work in their minds, but just not not too graphic. I don't know. Teenagers these days are an amazing breed of animal, as far as I'm concerned. They have so much more knowledge than I did back in the day, and it was a lot longer than you. But it's like, was I like that? Mm. But yeah, just you can tell your nieces that they need to inspire you, and they need to give you food for thought to make you work on a book for them.
Yes, one of my nieces, her father is American and she speaks English. And one day she told me, she's 12, "I'm going to help you to write your book." "Okay, you're writing?" "Yes, I'm writing right now. I was on my farm. She was by my side, and I was writing. Great, great. I like this idea. I like this idea." And then suddenly said, "Get out. I'm going to write something. You can read." "Okay, okay, okay. Call me back when you finish that." Okay. And she says to everybody, I helped to write that book. Where's my
Yes,
aunt?
exactly. There you go.
And
She
it
gets
was
her.
a sketch, one of the first scenes of the sketches of life when Lily was very young, and she helped me. She gave me some ideas for that novel.
Okay. Now you said in the sketches of life, we're gonna, you can see. You said you're ADHD. I'm kind of like cat frame. I will jump from here to here to here and just go back all over again. So in the sketches of life, you have Lily, who's the main character.
Yes.
How? Where did she come from in your mind?
Nino and Lily are the two characters of this book. Both are going to be in this book very tough women. They have to survive to all that happens thanks to World War II, and they are tough. They have to grow up quickly. They need to do their best in order to face chaos because their lives are chaos. And I think they come from all strong women that I ever met, and they come from people who from a moment to the other they have to face unexpected things. I
Yeah.
think sketches of life, it's all about unpredictable things. You have a normal life and suddenly everything changes, and nothing is normal anymore. and you have to face that, and you have to adapt or die. So
Yeah.
books come from very strong women I've met during my whole life. I love to write about strong women because I've met many. I'm the daughter of a very strong woman. My mom is tough. She was a great professional. She's 76 now, but if she can, she still works. And she raised us, I and my sister, to be strong women. So they come from being strong, from people that survive, from
Yeah.
survivals, and they are going to show that for readers from the beginning to the end. They can survive.
Whereas this book, you have your main characters are strong women. Your first three books, and I know that there's a trilogy. You said the first book, there's a lawyer. Is he the main character in the book?
He is the main character from the beginning to the end. He defends the boy who killed the man who killed his girlfriend, and he's the main character. Yes,
So all of your characters are very strong, independent
my
people.
husband says my male character is not strong.
Oh,
In his opinion, he's not strong enough. But my argument when I was reading for him, he said, "No, this guy is too soft." I said, "Okay, he lives in my mind. He's the perfect guy. He's the guy I would like to meet. He's a romantic. He's a nice guy. He has principles. He's the perfect man who lives inside my mind. Okay, leave him be."
leave my mind man alone.
Yeah.
So you're how long have you been married?
Sorry,
How long have you been married?
married. Oh, okay. I've been married 3 times and a half. So we
I
stayed
like that.
about 9 years, but I've
Okay.
been married 2 times before, and I say half because I also lived with someone without being married. I'm a serial marriager, we can say.
There you go.
But
So
my relationship with my husband, we've been married for 9 years, but we know each other since we were kids. So we know each other for the whole life, and we are very great friends. I think that's the clue of the success of this marriage. So
yeah,
he's my
yeah,
best friend.
exactly. That's the thing. You have to be friends with whoever you married. Now, does your husband read your books when you're done with them?
No.
No.
Uh, we on the first book, I used to read the scenes I was writing for him.
Mhm.
But he wanted to rewrite it. He didn't. He,
Oh,
he didn't like the male character. He said, "No, he's a pussy. I don't like this guy. He's too soft. Change him." And I said, "Okay, from now on, you're going to read when it's over." And he
when it's
never
published, there you
read.
go.
So sometimes I tell the stories for him and say, "Hey, that's what happened to her." Yeah, you didn't want to read. Oh, I didn't know that happened to her. But he doesn't read. And I've never told the stories for him anymore since we disagree about the male character.
There you go. There you go. Just give it to him, sign him, and give him when they're finished. You give him a book and say, you can read it when you want to. If you don't want to read it, that's fine, but you have your copy. But if you have to want to make any changes, write your own books.
He has his copies, but he doesn't open them because I think
Mhm.
going to be a little bit tortured by what I write.
There
So
you go. Oh yeah, you can sort of kind of imagine where his if everybody else in your life reads it and doesn't and has you can see that they have questions in their eyes. You can just imagine your husband's questions like, hmm. It's like,
yeah,
am I on which list am I on? The good list or the bad list? Am I gonna be killed or loved to death? Yeah.
Yeah, and they hate when I kill somebody they love, and I have to write for myself. Whenever I write, Mama, I write for myself. I have to please myself. It's my first concern. If I like
Yeah.
my novels, I'm going to publish. If I hate, I'm not going to publish. So if people try to change while I'm writing, I'm not going to publish anything because I
Yeah.
need to have a book that pleases me,
Yeah.
and that's
Exactly.
one of the stories. So I decided not to discuss my novels while they are being constructed. With my editor, yes, we discuss things because my editor is precious. She's with me since my first novel, and she's tough. She's hard on me sometimes, and but I love to discuss my novels with her. She never says change this or change that. She just put a small red
Yeah, a little
question
question
mark.
mark. There you go. That's because
Because
she
she
doesn't
says
have, there's, yeah, because there's a connection between the two of you, but it's not like, it's not a personal connection, not like you said your husband will tell you. It's like you can hear something from your husband to say something to you, and then your editor can say the same thing but in a different way, and it makes more sense because this, yeah, trust me, I understand what
it's
you mean.
professional. Yeah, I'm friends
Exactly.
with my editor now, so many years, but it's professional. I know it's a professional opinion, and not an opinion based on what a person is feeling, the way a person looks like, and the bias they have, and things like that. So I can construct a novel based on that.
Exactly. Right. Have you ever written anything or started to write something and just kind of said no, and either put it aside or thrown it away, or just it sits in a drawer somewhere unpublished because you're not ready for it or you're not happy with it?
Yes, I started a terror novel. When I was hiding a body, I said, no, 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 I can't do that. I can't do that. It's too much for me. But I let it in a file, maybe one day,
Hmm.
but it's not me. It's not me. Definitively, I tried. I really
Yeah.
tried, but I can't. Another thing that I try to write is pure romance. I can't. I'm not a romantic person. I'm very practical. Whenever I have to write a romantic scene, it's very hard for me because I can't say nice phrases and things like that because they sound phony,
Okay.
and it's hard. So the projects are good, but they are there, and I don't think I'm
they're,
hoping.
they're they're in that filing cabinet that's way in the back that maybe one day I'll get to it, but
Very
for right now,
little.
there you go. There you go.
Yes.
And when did you first start writing? As a child, like you said, you read a lot of books. It was your mother used to get mad because you wouldn't go outside. When did you start writing?
When I was 11 to 12 years old, I wrote my first novel. Uh, I used it to read things that were not appropriate for my age. Okay.
Okay.
My mother used to work outside. She was a professional. And I used to stay home a long time. And I used to march to the library, to the public library. And the librarian didn't have much control in what we did or not. So I hid myself in a corner with two books, one inside of the other, and I read things like
Gosh.
Harold Robbins, you can imagine. And I was too young for that. But
Yeah.
I decided to write my own novel, and I did. But I was very ashamed someone could read that. Can you imagine? My mother reading something like that, and my mother used it to check everything, try to find everything. So I was very, very afraid. And one day I decided, when I discovered my mother had read my diary, I decided to throw everything in a well we had in our house. So I threw the book in a well. It was typed. My father used to have this very advanced for the time electric typewriter. So
Oh God,
I
yes.
used
I
it to
remember those
type
days.
it, and I threw it on the wall in the wall, and it was over because I was very afraid my mom could read. One day I told that to my father, and he said to me, "Why didn't you ask me for a key in a drawer?" And I said, "Nice idea. Give me one now." And things were solved, but take me a while to decide to write again.
Yeah, I'm sure. But 11 years old, I like that. That's you knew then, even though you knew that you went to school and became a lawyer, and but to know at 11 years old that's what you wanted to do. But I think it's cute that you did. You ever tell your mother that you wrote a book and then tore it up?
Yes, I told her, but I told her 5 years ago. And she said, "Oh my God, how come I never read your journal?" I said, I know you
Yeah.
did, but okay, I'm not going to push you to confess."
There you go. We're not in court. You're lucky, mom.
Yeah, yeah, don't worry, don't worry. Not going to torture you for an answer.
Oh, that's cute. And it took you how long after you destroyed that book before you wrote again?
Many, many, many years, because I wrote again. I started to write again when I was 45. It was a middle life crisis. And I thought, oh my God, I've lived the half of my life. If I'm lucky, if I'm not, more than half of my life, I need to fulfill one of my dreams. I need to write a novel. And it was a bet with a friend. He said, "I'm writing a novel. How about you?" I said, "I'm writing one too." And it was a lie. I wasn't. And he started to write a novel. I started to write mine. And in 6 months, I had my novel complete. And it was so good. I found so much pleasure doing that. I couldn't stop. So
Nice.
that when I decided to write again, so much more than 30 years.
Yeah, but it was the time. It was the time. Now, did your friend ever finish writing his novel?
No. He's a
Well, I
procrastinator,
guess
okay? He's a
there you
procrastinator.
go.
He always finds excuses, and I'm always pushing him to finish. But no, he's not finishing it right now. I don't think so, because he's writing poetry now, and he has some
Ooh,
poem books published, and he loves that. I don't think his fiction is going to be around early.
okay. Well, guess you won that bet, didn't you? Because you. But poetry is also nice.
Poetry is nice, yes, yes, but his book was going to be a Nobel Prize. It was very good, very good. I was very excited because he was reading I was reading his, and his book was fiction made like poetry, and I
Ooh,
need him
nice.
to finish it because it's going
Yes.
to be
Okay, that's it. Tell him. Mama D said he's got to finish it. We need it done.
yeah, we need it.
Yes, we already have a Canadian woman who wants to read this book. So get your button gear.
I'm going to tell him.
There you go. Well, we're almost out of time. If anybody wants to get a hold of you, let's see, you have a website, and it should do that. Your website is, whoops, I made things disappear. AGAVAZZONI.com. And on Facebook and on Twitter, it's the same. It's simple. If anybody wants to get a hold of you, that wants to follow you, this is where they can go. And go to Amazon and get her books. Because I can tell you, this book, there's like 4 spots in there that have been marked. And I kind of cheated and went to the end at one point, but not all the way. And I'm going, ooh, I like this. Okay, what chapter was that? That was 34, chapter 34. I marked it and I was like, it's like, that's just because sometimes I'll take a book and I'll open it just to wherever it falls and then read that chapter. And so I read weird, but I do get to read the whole book in the end. But I also jump back and forth, just my conversations. So
I
go
do
to
the same.
Amazon.com. Yeah, good. Okay, phew, I'm not totally on, but go to
Sometimes I'm at the
Amazon.com and
end.
read.
Sometimes I read the end before the beginning.
Oh, no, I'm not going to do that now.
It's called anxiety, I think.
Okay. Well, like I said, it's a great book. The parts that I've read so far are interesting, and it takes a lot to get me interested in a book. But lately, I've been finding books that are interesting, that sort of grab me. Let's put it this way: when I was young, my mother used to read Harlequin romance novels, and I could finish those in a day to 2 days, depending. And so I'd be like, "Okay, Mom, here's your book back." Love to read, and I haven't, and I stopped reading because I haven't found anything that was interesting that got my attention. That's so many other things going on in the world these days. I was like, okay. But with this show, I'm able to get books that are amazing. Even some of the guests who send me shows via books by PDF, it's some of them are really interesting, and some of them sketches of life. Get it?
Thank
I'm
you very much, Mamadi. It was a great pleasure to be with you today.
It was fun to have you on. And whenever the sequel to this one comes out, let me know. And when your friend finally finishes his novel, let me know as well. Because if you
Okay,
found it interesting,
I'm
that means
going.
it's going to be really good.
I'm going to let you know, and I'm going to send the sequel for you. I promise.
There you go. Well, thank you very much, everybody. I thank you for showing up tonight. And if you are listening to this, don't forget to tune in every Sunday at 5 for the live show on Facebook and YouTube. And to find Adriana, go to Facebook, follow her, get her books. You're going to love them, trust me. Thanks, darling.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.